Check. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here, and thank you to the Association of Indian Magazines for inviting me. And it's great to see so many people here in person. So my name is Nikhil, and I work with HT Digital Streams. And my work largely revolves around our business brand, which is Mint. I suppose most of you in the room would know Mint, especially the business readers, but I'm just going to spend a few minutes introducing us and what we do. So Mint started in 2007. It came into a pretty crowded business market at the time. There were already 4 mainline business dailies. There were, I think, 4 business newspapers and 3 business news channels. And for a country like India, which has only about 2% of its population invested in the public markets, there's a proliferation of business media already. But what's happened since is that the business media ecosystem has gotten much more crowded. Anyway, I'm not going to get into the ecosystem. I'm going to focus a little into the product itself and explain how we're structured, what we do, what we produce, and why people are willing to pay for it, and what's been our learning from this experience so far. So in terms of the product and our journalism, we have 5 or 6 main pillars: public markets, companies and industry, economy and policy, tech and startups, and personal finance. And we have intelligent lifestyle, which is housed under a separate brand called Mint Lounge. And we have each of these open into our daily reporting, where we produce original stories, and it cuts across into different special formats that we've developed over time, like Mint Mark to Market, or Long Story, or Mint Money, or Primer, Plain Facts, etc. So what we've realized is, while we do a lot of original reporting across these different pillars, or content buckets as we like to call them, it's also important to innovate in terms of the format, right? So the simple news article has evolved and changed into the different styles that we have over there on the right side. This is our product, and this is how we've been furthering it from the time we've been founded. Fortunately, I'm proud to say that we do produce a lot of original, insightful, analytical, investigative journalism, and I'll explain in a bit why all of that matters to digital subscriptions. Here are some numbers. I just thought I would also give you sort of scale of our operations and our reach or influence as a media brand. In terms of output, over here, we produce around 220 stories every day. A small sliver of this is what we have designated premium, which constitutes the reason, or sort of the main pull for somebody to subscribe digitally to our newspaper. So about 60 of this is what goes into the print edition, and the print edition also contributes to the digital edition's premium basket. So this means that there's enough depth as well as width in terms of product, so that when digitally people come to the platform, they find, if there's a particular article or a story that they don't identify with, they can always move on to things that perhaps they can connect to. So this gives us a wide enough basket of product to go to market with and entice a significantly large set of cohorts. A few other insights that we've learned is that on the article pages where the premium stories, where we serve the paywall up, where if you're not a subscriber, you would hit the paywall, we've realized that only about 15% of our subscriptions come from, direct articles or stories that convert. And I have some data around, what is converting users. But the interesting thing is, an average subscriber views a paywall at least 4 to 5 times before they actually make a purchase. So that warming up is something that we've learned as a newsroom that is necessary. So you have to demonstrate consistently that you can serve our premium content, and after a little bit of thinking about it a few times, then a subscriber decides to make a purchase, is our experience. We've also noticed that subscribers tend, at least in terms of the digital device, they tend to spend more time on the desktop rather than MWeb or the mobile app. So I know there's a lot of emphasis when it comes to building digital products and taking it mobile first and all that, but we've realized when it comes to subscribers, the behavior is a little counterintuitive. In terms of scale, the time spent, we've seen subscribers demonstrate the most amount of loyalty. They know our stories really well because they end up reading and spending a lot of time over there. as opposed to the free users who just kind of come and go. I would imagine the behavior is very similar on most of your platforms as well. In terms of our web traffic, Comscore numbers from last year, we have about 20 to 38 million users, so significant scale in terms of monthly uniques. We've touched almost 100 million page views. So Mint is one of the top 3 business platforms in India, and that allows us to sample our content across a wide cohort of users. So it's quite important, I just want to call out here that it's quite important to have a pretty wide and robust top of the funnel to be able to bring people into the subscription part of the business. In terms of the mobile app, we've got over a million users. This is one of the other formats, I think just referencing from some of the previous speakers, James, Jayant, etc., in terms of how to innovate within the newsroom. The newsletter has been something that's given us a lot of engagement, particularly to drive loyal behavior. And the interesting thing about this, as you know, it comes to the inbox, it doesn't need a user to come to your platform. And it serves as a constant reminder for a user to be able to, you hit their inbox. Most of the important people in this country and around the world do tend to read their email, especially in the morning. And if it's something that's engaging enough, it will bring them into the platform eventually. So we have all these different sub-brands that we've created. Top of the Morning is our flagship newsletter, which goes out every day of the week. And then we've got these niches that we've created to cater to the specific interests of our cohorts or communities. So as magazine publishers, you'll be pleased to know that people do tend to gravitate towards specific niches or interests. And if you are a specialty publisher or you're a publisher of a number of specialty titles, there is a genuine pull factor from the audience for this. We have some pretty healthy open rates. But I've also learned recently that when it comes to niche publishing, the open rates tend to go much higher than this. So we still have a lot of work to do as far as our newsletters go. Just to give you a flavor of our flagship newsletter, which is Top of the Morning, it goes to about 1.4 million unique. We had 1.4 million unique opens in December. It's read by about 4.5 lakh people every day. And it's like a thali that you would get at a restaurant. We have a little bit of everything that we sort of pepper the newsletter with to cater to different kinds of interests, which is why it has a very wide sort of audience as opposed to some of our other newsletters, which are a little more focused. This is our suite of podcasts. We introduced podcasting, podcasting has been around for a while, but for Mint it was quite new. We came to this about 2 years ago. And this is produced in conjunction with our sister association, which is an FM company housed within HT Media, HT Smartcast, part of the FM business. So the Mint Newsroom has collaborated with HT Smartcast to produce all these different podcasts. And what we've found is it's really hard to monetize on this front. Nobody's going to pay for a premium podcast, at least not just yet. But the podcast, just like our traffic, our web traffic, serves as a large top of the funnel to drive engagement. Actually, I shouldn't say large top of the funnel, it's much smaller than the web, but it serves as a deeply engaging part of the funnel. So if you want to promote your subscriptions, a podcasting format is a great way to do that. So I've just told you a little bit about the product. Now I'm going to get into some audience insights, and then we'll talk about how we are sort of marrying those insights into our publishing strategy within the newsroom. This is just a sampling of, the kind of articles, at least on our platform, that have been leading to conversions or purchases. So we did an analysis of the last June to December, and we found that these are the different topics on which people are converting. And while we have a few hero topics that are obviously converting a lot more than others, this is a really long tail. You really don't know what is going to lead to a conversion. But we've noticed that there is a deep interlinkage between what the brand represents and what actually leads to a conversion. Somebody's not going to probably convert on an article related to art and culture on Mint. It's not how people sort of associate with our brand. But when it comes to investing or markets or companies, then yes. Or if it comes to stocks, economy, and the whole host of it, we do have a lot of people coming. So this is what's leading to conversions. And interestingly, when it comes to what subscribers are reading, it's not very different. But the types of articles are slightly different in terms of what leads to conversions and what they're consuming once they've come in. So there's a certain hero set of stories that brings people into the platform, and then once they're in the platform, more mundane stuff sustains them as they're there. So I'm just going to quickly, get into the synthesis of whatever I just showed you in these past 4 slides and what we've learned as a newsroom. So the most important thing we've figured out is it's a combination of articles that works in different formats. It's not a standard news article which works, but explainers, long form, analysis, market analysis, and huge exclusive news breaks, so substantial news breaks, not incremental news breaks. That's what we've managed to sort of figure out with the format. Adversarial quotient, over here, the second element, when there's a little bit of drama involving some of the characters, there's an adversarial quotient, an investigative story, that tends to drive a lot of subscriptions. Strong narrative arc, and relatable characters, emotionally resonant words in the headlines, service journalism, stories that give users things that they can use, that speak to their financial aims or goals or educate them about their mistakes or how to live a better lifestyle, that sort of thing. And the sixth one is really interesting. Traditional newsrooms are organized in beats. You have specialists covering certain areas, but what we found most valuable is when reporters collaborate across beats or write across beats, this sort of interdisciplinary topicality that cuts across into no man's land, right? That seems to be, because our world is more complex. We live in what management consultants call a VUCA world. It's volatile, uncertain, I forget the other two, but it is ambiguous and all that. So the interdisciplinary topicality seems to be something that is working for us. So these are the real takeaways that we've learned as a newsroom in terms of what's working for our journalism and how we can bring subscribers in and continue to sustain them. So now I'm going to quickly, the other thing that we did was we asked our subscribers, so I gave you this is all the quantitative stuff and the analysis, and we gave the synthesis. Then we actually asked our subscribers for a little bit of qualitative input. So we did a survey. They spent a lot of time answering our questions. They told us about our product. They told us about how they consume different kinds of content. And they told us surprisingly, personal details about both their professional and their private lives. People are willing to disclose a lot more than you think they are if you only were willing to ask. At least that's what we've learned as a publisher. And we were able to really figure out who's reading Mint, how much money they're making, and so these are all the different audience personas that we managed to classify people into. They self-identified, and then we also asked them to describe themselves in their own words, and they told us that. So we were able to figure out who's reading us and in what proportion. And we were also able to figure out what income bracket they're in, and whether they find us, how many of them in different income groups find us too expensive, or whether there's enough value for money in terms of our subscription. And we found that 78% of the people, so 22% of the people over there actually said we're either too expensive or insufficient value for money, but the other side of that means the majority of our subscribers are quite happy with how much value we're able to provide as a publication. The next element that came through in our subscriber survey was we were able to marry these different content buckets or the beats across which we write and publish stories with specific audience personas. And this leads into our, what we're building right now, which is a personalization engine, so that the right story is able to find the right reader at the right time. And this has been really instructive in that exercise. So we know that, for example, a management consultant, likes to read more about companies, industry, and people, and public policy and politics, and so on and so forth. But we also realized that, nobody really sticks to only one specific kind of content bucket. People are genuinely interested in a wide variety of content when it comes to, at least a publication like ours. We're in ourselves fairly niche because we're a business newspaper. I'm not going to get into all this, but largely we figured out that text is still king. People love us for our graphics and illustrations and data charts. And all the new cool formats in video, text to audio and all that were not really identified with by our subscribers. That's what that is saying. The main motivation to subscribe is for a deeper understanding of current affairs and business. And generally, people seem to be quite happy with what we're doing. We got a bunch of textured feedback. This enabled us, now leading into the strategy piece of my presentation, this enabled us to really figure out on a spectrum of product that we're creating, where do subscribers and different cohorts of subscribers sit, and what is the likelihood that they're going to subscribe. So this has really been useful for someone like me who works in a bridge role between the newsroom, product, tech, and business to help people productize and build and go to market. The key takeaway, as I said, from the subscriber survey was people want a deeper understanding of current affairs in business, which meant that we developed a premiumization framework. So we said our journalism needs to do, the premium part of our journalism needs to do at least one or two of the following. It needs to be an exclusive news story, it needs to expose some wrongdoing, it should connect the dots or be an analytical story, and intellectually stimulate somebody. So if it's doing some of these things, then it's definitely fitting into the premium bucket, and we figured out over there on the strategy piece that there's about 7 million readers that we can perhaps address as a market. Our serviceable, obtainable market could be 1 million readers at an average revenue of 3,000 rupees per reader. So we're a pretty expensive publication. We're not cheap, and we don't cater to most of the people in this country, but the people who are interested in us really do love us, and we've decided to start organizing our newsroom in sync with this strategy. So just very quickly, the newsroom is creating stuff. There is digital production and distribution which is happening, and then this is coming into audience insights, leading to a feedback. I'll just open that up a bit to explain what that means. We have the reporting teams and the features teams and the different product teams who are doing all of this. That is the print part of what we're all familiar with, right? We have a news desk, which then sends it to press and goes to print and gets distributed. On the digital part, this is how it sort of opens up. There is digital production, there's product marketing and communications, and digital programming and distribution across all these different ways of going to market. I've realized I'm out of time, so I'm just going to skip ahead. And we took a leaf out of Starbucks in terms of taking a premiumization route or a premiumization strategy towards developing a subscriptions product. And that means that it's a constant reinvention for us as a brand. And we're genuinely confident that when you're going to upsell or become a more premium sort of publisher, meaning to say you're working on highbrow, analytical, or interesting content, which is genuinely priced at a, and this is how we sort of position, right? We have our core, we have a digital premium experience, there's a print edition, there's a lifestyle section, and we're tied up with 2 leading global publications, one of which is also a magazine, and we have those different formats for reach. We are confident of being a premium mass brand. That's something that we think India does not have as a content or as a journalism industry, journalism product. And we're not really cheap, right? We've just introduced a new product called Mint Lite, which has just started retailing at 1,500 rupees. But the average cost of a Mint Premium subscription is 2,500 to 3,000, which includes these 2 global publications. But we also sell those independently, in the sense, if you buy a Mint plus WSJ, you get access to W. So we've managed to bring in these premium publishers from abroad into our subscription bundles, because we're catering to that sort of reader in India. So yeah, I'll end there. Thank you. Sorry for exceeding.